Welcome back, family. The spring game is upon us. So, we're going to talk about positions, breakout players, who to look for, what to watch for in Miami spring game Saturday on the Storm Tracker podcast.
You are now tuned in to the Storm Tracker podcast.
Welcome back, family, to the Storm Tracker podcast. Marcus Benjamin here representing for CanesCounty.com, part of the Rivals.com network. Make sure you subscribe to the website, CanesCounty.com, for free. Use the promo code Miami30 and also subscribe to this YouTube channel live from Canes County. The spring game is finally upon us. 14 spring practices in the books, and we finally get to see some real football. I mean, some people have seen some real football when it comes to the spring practice. Some people haven't, but it's open to the public, so Miami Hurricanes fans gets to see their favorite team live in action for the one time officially during the spring. And here to talk about it all with me is Casz Clayton, also known as C2, the queen of South Florida football, here to talk about Miami Hurricanes football, the spring game. Thanks for joining me today, Cass.
Benjamin, happy Friday. Thanks for having me, my guy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always a pleasure to see you and talk a little Miami Hurricanes football.
It's been a good, it's been an interesting spring season for Miami. So I'm excited to dive into it and talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a bunch of storylines. One being, of course, Carson Beck. Is he going to throw? Is he not going to throw? Throwing tennis balls or just tossing the football up is kind of what we've seen from him so far. And the wide receivers have been a talking point as well, just to who's really going to step up. CJ Daniels finally started practicing, I want to say last week. And of course, O line, D line, and then the secondary, because that was kind of the big question from last season. And Miami brought in a bunch of players to help with this secondary. You and I, we've been at practice. We've kind of seen players, at practice, some shining more than others. When you saw practice this spring, like who really kind of stood out to you as far as the standouts?
Absolutely. It's been such a thrill this spring season, especially compared to last season. It was more of, the hype. Cam Ward, seeing him coming in. Obviously, we don't get that with Carson Beck because he's hurt right now. But I've been able to see, especially when it comes to the transfers, the reason why they're here and them, coming in and stepping up. You mentioned C.J. Daniels just coming in within a week's time, and in that time, he's made such a big difference in the wide receiver core. His energy that he's bringing, his leadership that he's bringing, and he's also making plays early on. I love what he's doing coming in first week and making plays. I love CA Denner, but I also want to talk about some of the other transfers that I think stood out, like an XL Xavier Lucas coming in,
Yeah.
definitely making plays. I love what I'm seeing from Xavier Lucas. We can also talk about Zachariah Poyser. Poyser coming in, also making plays. I would want to see more from Poyser, but him coming in, making plays, I can see it coming from him. But one of the most impressive that I've seen thus far, especially from the DB position, is Chuck Brantley. Chuck Brantley, small guy, can't be more than, I don't know, buck 67. I'm not sure, but one, he's a small guy, but his physicality, you would never know he's that small. The way he plays, how physical he is, the leadership that he brings, I'm really impressed with what Charles Brantley has been able to bring into the DB room in itself. And just seeing him throughout practice, speaking to the young guys, motivating them, but also making plays, stepping up and Jordan and stepping up against someone like a JoJo Trader. He's like one of those guys. He's just like one of those guys that's stepping up and making plays. So I'm really excited to see him throughout the season for sure.
Yeah, I like Chuck. I like Chuck a lot, man. He's a feisty individual, to
I
say the least. you
Yeah,
know,
I definitely came in and he, he's small. Again, he's small, but you would never know his size the way that he plays with grit. But another person that I knew for sure from last season that was just going to shine for sure is Elijah Lofton.
yeah,
I'm so excited to see him play. He's been killing it in every position. They've had him at running back. They have him running different routes, and Elijah just has been killing it throughout the entire spring. And I'm just excited to see what exactly Shannon Dawson, how he will use him as a player personnel. And exactly, I'm hoping and I'm praying that Shannon Dawson will use Elijah Lofton to his best ability. Somewhat, sort of, if we can compare and contrast to Elijah Arroyo last year, I felt like he could have been used more. But Elijah Lofton is definitely a key player that I think will make a great difference this year for the offense for the Miami Hurricanes.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, Elijah Lofton, it's gonna be interesting to see kind of how they use him in the spring game, like
Mhm.
how much they want to reveal as far as excuse me, how they're gonna use him. Are they gonna line him up as an H back? Are they gonna line him up as a running back? Because we saw that last spring game where Elijah Lofton was used as a running back. Is he going to be that third or fourth running back behind Jordan
Right.
Lyle and Mark Fletcher? So that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to in the spring game. Just how are they going to utilize Elijah Lofton? Because Shannon Dawson during the press conference this week just mentioned that they're going to utilize him in every way possible. So looking forward to see how much they actually use him, and if they're going to use him at the running back, who is going to play in that tight end spot, So it's going to be very interesting to kind of see just how they really going to use Lofton and the other tight ends, because that's a deep room that Miami has. Tight end U is definitely still showing that they are producing tight ends at a high level. Obviously, Arroyo going to be drafted at some point in the upcoming draft, and now you've
Actually,
got
at the Dolphins, I saw him post. He was at the Dolphins facility today. So good for him.
okay.
Good
Okay, might stay with the hometown team. Let's see if that happens. That would be nice. You got him, and then you got obviously Brock Schott, who I think is an absolute great talent. He could be the next Elijah Arroyo, in my opinion. And then you also have Alex Bauman, the transfer from Tulane, and who I think is going to play a lot of snaps. And you got Luka Gilbert, who I think is definitely showing that he can block at a high level.
absolutely.
So I think the sky's the limit for him as well. So tight ends, I think you're really good there. Wide receivers, we'll see. Hopefully, CJ Daniels make some plays tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll see some plays from Malachi Tony, who has been kind of shining all spring. But hopefully, we see some plays from some other guys too, like the three freshmen: Dalen Upshaw, Joshua Moore, and like I said, Malachi Tony. Hopefully, we see some plays from those guys and Nikar. That's a guy that I
Icon.
definitely want to see make a play or two here and there.
But
Um,
man, I can say throughout the spring, even before we went on spring break, the guys came in and first week I saw Malachi Tony taking reps right after Ray Ray, right after JoJo. So he stepped up early. It looks like he's been in the playbook. He's running the routes that he needs to run, and it's just seeing Malachi Tony come in and flourish the way he is. I didn't have any doubts that he would. He stepped it up at American Heritage. He was played quarterback for goodness sake. But just seeing him come in as a freshman and making the plays that he's made plays literally every practice that I've been to. And
yeah,
it just amazes me at such a young, just coming in and at such a young age, just doing what he does. Malachi Tony would definitely, I can, great potential to be one of the top receivers from this season for this season. We're talking about Joshua Moore, big body, right?
yeah,
Outside player. People talk about his speed. People talk about him running routes. But from what I've seen, he's been making those plays. I've seen a lot of connections between Luke and him, between Judd and him, Emery, from everyone. He's making those type of plays that need to be made early. So I see a lot of potential out of those young receivers, which is a great cue. But we shall see, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We'll definitely see how many plays are made for the fans tomorrow at the spring game. Definitely excited to see that. Offensive line play, I think, has been solid. I think the O line has a chance to be even better than last season. Inez Cooper looks like he is definitely going to be an NFL draft pick, in my opinion, from what I've seen from him. He's just been absolutely dominant, getting to the second level, even to to the linebackers. I think he's looked good on pulling out for blocks as well. And then you got Francis Mauanoa, who seems to kind of taking his game to the next level as well as Markel Bell as well. I think the question only really is probably left guard because James Brockermeyer seems like he's the guy at
For
center, and there's not a huge drop off from Carpenter from last year. So you got Ryan Rodriguez, and then you got Matt McCoy, who's been out with an injury. So it's really Ryan Rodriguez and Tommy Kinsler as your fifth and
yes.
sixth offensive lineman.
Well,
So mhm.
I'm sorry. I've been seeing more of a Ryan Rodriguez, taking those snaps with the ones. I can say with Inez Cooper, he's definitely have elevated even in his leadership wise. He's always been vocal.
Yeah,
Inez is
yeah, yeah.
that guy, but I've
Talks a
definitely
lot of trash for
yeah,
sure.
yes.
Mhm.
Uh, has definitely taken it up a notch. I do see it, and definitely I do want to shout out CC's has they have been holding the entire O line. Honestly, I feel like it has not been a big drop off at all. The O line has been solid to me throughout. I have no question about the O line. I'm not worried about them at all, especially someone like Markel Bell coming in. Definitely have seen his development from last year to this year. Him using his big 6'9" body and using it properly and using it to his advantage. I've definitely seen him in reps winning more and just being that guy to be able to make those plays. So shout out to Markel Bell because I had definitely have seen him step it up and him improve and develop into being that lineman that Maribel for sure. He's the guru of linemen, but Maribel is definitely going to take care, and the O line just has been solid throughout the spring.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. The offensive line is always in good hands when you have Alex Mirabal and Mario Cristobal at the helm at the U. Let's switch it over to the defense, man, because the defense has been shining. They've been pretty much kind of dominant as far as in practice and in the scrimmages from what we've heard and what we've seen,
Mm-hmm.
especially that defensive line. You got to start with, the two guys that you expect to make plays.
Messi and Bang.
Yeah,
Combination is dangerous. I
Mez,
must.
Mezzi and Bain. Yeah, that definitely sounds like it's the combination that's going to work for the Miami Hurricanes. What have you seen from the D line, Cass?
I've been so impressed with the D line. Like, if we can speak about the most improved, I wouldn't say even most improved, but I've been so impressed with the defensive line, the amount of pressure, them getting to the ball. I've just been super impressed, especially because how solid the O line is. They're definitely giving the O line a run for their money in every single practice. And I love that. Even young guys like Armando Blunt stepping up and making those plays at such a between him and I also seen Lightfoot also make some plays. I would love to see more from Marquise Lightfoot. But Armando Blunt just has been monstrous out there. You wouldn't even think he's as young as he is making those plays. So just to see the development with that, and also too with the coaches, we have new lineman coaches. Leon Lewis coming in, JT just doing his thing this time around. It's just been great to see the guys communicating, gelling. It's been more cohesive this year, if I can say it that way. And the lineman has been killing it so much that I haven't seen a lot from the secondary because they haven't been able to get back there much. with the linemen getting to the ball. So I love to see that. And last year was more of I feel like the D line was definitely something to watch for. Like, when we had Barron coming in, it was something to watch for. But offensively, just always took the cake when it came to the practices last year. Offense will always win. You know what they had going on with the defense and the secondary last year. We saw it first front soon as we got to spring practices. But this year is more of a balance, and I love that. I love that it's an overall balance between the offense and the defense. Obviously, there's still a lot of room to grow. It's still spring, but just seeing that, you never know who's going to win throughout the practices. We knew exactly who was going to win in the practices last year, but this
Yeah.
year is different, and I like that. I like the communication. I like how they're able to gel, especially with the whole new defensive staff coming in and have them in working. I would like to see more, but from what I've seen in the last 4 weeks, it's been great thus far.
Yeah, when it comes to the defense, I really like what Miami did with their secondary. I mean, to add players like a Charles Brantley and Xavier Lucas, these guys to me are going to be contributors. I think they are going to play a ton of snaps, especially Xavier Lucas. You could probably just pencil him right now as CB1 because he's been that impressive. And then OJ, who's been out for this spring, you expect him to be CB2 or him or Damari Brown. So it's going to be interesting to see like who is really going to be the starter. Uh, uh, Tomorrow, you're expecting probably some combination of Xavier Lucas and maybe Damari Brown. I know he's been kind of working his way back, so I'm not sure if he'll start tomorrow for the spring game. But you can guarantee that Xavier Lucas is going to be one of those cornerbacks. And then, you would think that Charles Brantley is probably going to be the other cornerback at this point if OJ is not going to play in the spring game, which he probably won't tomorrow. He may warm up a little bit, he may be on the sideline, but he probably won't play extensive snaps, if any. So I think that's a really nice combination of cornerbacks that you have with Damari Brown, Xavier Lucas, and OJ Frederick and Chuck Brantley. I think it's a really solid group of cornerbacks. It's definitely a lot deeper than last season, and surprisingly, I think it's become a strength of this team, of the cornerbacks in specific. Safeties, I'm not exactly sure like how well this group is going to be. Zachariah Poiser, obviously, I think you can pencil him in as a starter as well, just like you're doing with Xavier Lucas. But who's going to be the other guy? Is it going to be Markeith Williams? Is it going to be Dylan Day? Zaquan Patterson has been out for the spring as well, so you haven't really seen him play at safety. So possibly in the fall, he's going to be that guy next to Poiser.
Now, I'm glad you said that, Benjamin, because the safety position is actually one of the positions that I would say I'm concerned about. While we do have Poiser back there, just like you said, who else? If something was to happen, God forbid, I feel like bringing a safety from the transfer portal would be a good deal for the Hurricanes
Okay.
throughout the transfer portal season. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because you're kind of not sure what Ethan O'Connor is going to bring. When it comes to game
Williams,
time.
I haven't seen much from him. Uh,
Right.
Ethan O'Connor, he's made some plays, but I would like to see more to feel
Yeah.
confident, to feel completely confident to say, okay, we safety position, we're good in that secondary. We're good in that position. I don't have that right now with the safety.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And just to not go all the way negative, but let's talk about some of the stuff that we're kind of worried about or we're a little bit concerned about with the spring game. And I think that what jumps out to me, and I'm gonna go out and say it, is quarterback play. The
Okay,
quarterback.
we're gonna
Oh,
say something else.
what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the linebacker room. That is
Okay,
just the
you
linebacker
know
room
what?
is a concern, but the quarterback room is also a concern for me as well. So let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Quarterback is a
yes,
concern.
the quarterbacks haven't been the best. Let's say without Carson Beck, and And you got Emory Williams, you got Judd Anderson, you got Luke Nickel. Luke Nickel, fresh out of high school, winning two state championships. So sky's the limit for him. Judd Anderson, still kind of, I would say, learning how to be a college quarterback. I wouldn't say he's in a position to really trust yet with this program. And then you got Emory Williams, who I think is playing with a chip on his shoulder now, especially with kind of he's won games as a starter, almost won a game against Florida State on the road, and so yeah, I think he's
Like
got a
game
lot to.
against Clemson said a lot about him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got a lot to prove, but I haven't seen Emery really take that next step in his development. And as well as I that the defense has been winning. And I think part of the reason why the defense has been winning in the scrimmages and in practices is because there's not really a true deep threat in the passing game. And they can, just load up on the box because I don't think they really truly fear this downfield passing game. Maybe a dink and dunk type of passing game would work, but I'm not really seeing the explosiveness or the big plays that you kind of want to see from this offense. That's what you've seen from last season. We've been spoiled now, Cass, with Cam Ward with the number one offense in college football last season.
Absolutely.
So we're naturally going to see a drop off in production just because Cam Ward is going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft more than likely. So obviously, and then your whole receiving core is
I was
gone.
just gonna say it wasn't just Cam Warden himself. He had people to throw the ball to, like Restrepo, Kobe George. Like it,
Yeah,
it's more to it versus a now younger receiver group that's also a concern for me as well. If we're talking about the experience and how young the receiver core is, it's definitely a difference. So I do agree with you. If we're talking about concern with the quarterback room, it has definitely been a concern for me. I'm trying. I'm trying my best not to harp on it because I know we have a Carson Beck, but we have not been able to see anything from Carson Beck thus far.
yeah.
With someone like Emory Williams, so let me just tell you this: when I'm at practice and I see like a bomb or I see like a go from Joshua Moore, and I look and I say, who threw that? And it's Luke Nickel.
Mm,
It's Luke Nickel making those plays,
okay.
and that's kind of concerning in a way because why is the freshman more making more plays in the pass game? The accuracy, the footwork looks better.
Yeah.
Those are things that I'm looking for when I'm seeing a quarterback step up, you being able to make good reads. You know what I mean? Hence, Luke has thrown quite a bit of interceptions within practice, but he's also a freshman. He's also still learning the playbook. It's still spring. It's still new. But when it comes to someone like Emory Williams, who has been in the system, he's been with the organization for 3 years now. You will expect more from him
Yeah.
and his performance, to his development, and just to be more improved. I
Yeah.
expect more from Emory Williams, and he
Yeah.
also, like you said, has experience. So I'm hoping and praying that his experience will eventually get him and elevate, to the next level. But I'm just not seeing it here in the spring. As far as Judd Anderson, I do see him improving within week 1 and week 4, but it's still not enough for me. I think the most positive thing that we can get out of the quarterback room from week 1, or from day 1 of seeing Carson Beck come in to this week of practice, I've seen Carson Beck way more mobile, way more physical. I have not seen him physically throw anything, but I'm pretty sure his arm, like he's way, way, way better, in better shape than he was a month ago. So I foresee him coming back sooner. I foresee him throwing sooner. I'm foreseeing him coming back and building that chemistry with his receivers, whoever, uh, whatever we have going into the fall season.
Yeah, I'm
So that's a
excited
good
for
time, right?
for sure.
But I do also want to say that
Okay.
Carson Beck is a huge, when I say huge, humongous factor when it comes to what the Miami Hurricane season will look like.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, obviously, we won't see him do anything tomorrow in the spring game, but I am almost certain that it is Carson Beck would definitely make, I would say make or break, but a huge X factor in Miami Hurricane season this season. And I'll say that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think how many wins this team gets is going to be just how well Carson Beck performs. You want to see the Carson Beck from not last season, but the year before, where he really kind of excelled and had a breakout year. And I think he will in this offense. I think this offense will give him that opportunity to really show what he can do. I think what you're concerned with, if you're a Miami Hurricanes fan, is really just his chemistry with the receivers because
Mhm.
he's not really getting that chemistry. I mean, he's building rapport, which is great. You know, he seems like he's winning the locker room from what I'm hearing.
Steak
Like,
dinners and Brockemeyer said really good things about him. I've heard nothing but good things. But I mean, of course, he's your quarterback, right? You will hope to hear good things about your quarterback, your QB1.
sure,
But at the same time, it does look like he is more comfortable. He is opening up more. He just took the O line to a steak dinner recently. It's
sure.
just those type of things that I do like to see from Carson Beck. So I am very excited to see what he does bring in the future for sure.
Absolutely. It took them boys to Prime 112. I'm not
No
sure when.
invite, no
Yeah,
invite.
I was
Like,
about to say, how come we not getting no invite to Prime 112? I like to eat tomahawk steak, I
nah,
guess.
tomahawk is OD. Like tomahawk is like that's OD. It's too much.
It's too
I'll take a ribeye and call it a day, but like a tomahawk. So if you would have ordered a tomahawk,
Yeah, why not? I'm trying to get my weight.
on
I'm
Carson
trying.
Bay time, that's crazy. You know how much tomahawks are at one to prime 112?
I heard he got it, so yeah, I would order that for sure. But yeah, let's quickly talk about the other position group that you mentioned earlier that you're concerned with, which is the linebackers. And I totally agree with that because I feel like you're pretty solid with Wesley Bassett and Popo Aguirre or Aguirre. It depends on what accent you want to use that name. I think both of those guys have played, especially West. He's played a lot of snaps. He's very experienced. He's going to be that leader of that room. That kind of goes without saying. And from what we've heard from Coach Heatherman, the DC who also coaches the linebackers, he talked very highly of Popo, saying that, oh, he's the guy who's really kind of telling guys where to go when he's on the field. He's commanding that defense in that linebacker room. But who's behind him is basically what I'm worried about a bit. Jalen Alderman,
That's
he's he's another veteran player, but he reminds me of kind of a linebacker that we had. I don't know why this guy's name escapes me, but not very fast, not very big, but smart. And he's a guy.
wise.
What's that?
You mean like football IQ wise,
Yeah,
smart?
football IQ wise, but not super. He's not super athletic like a Wesley or even a Popo. I think so. I think you have a veteran presence there, which is great, but you want someone who's maybe someone who can run down
Right.
players, and I'm worried about that a little bit from Alderman. But after that, who you got? You got a Kellen Wiley, who's a freshman.
Young. He's young.
Yeah,
I,
you Zeke Marcelin, young freshman. Aldarius
Bobby
Hayes,
Pruitt has been
hasn't
stepping up.
played.
I like what Bobby Pruitt is doing. I do like what Popo is doing. I do, and I can say that it is completely true. I've seen Popo definitely step up within, speaking to players and, just stepping up as a leader in itself. However, I don't know what you've seen out of Bassett, but last year I wanted more from him. This year I want more from him. I'm hoping and praying that it does eventually get to what my expectations of Wesley Saint. Clearly, he's a leader, but I just want more. And I think bringing in a veteran linebacker that has that experience as well, on
Yeah.
top of that IQ, is needed in the transfer portal.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Corey Flagg is who I
something
was talking about. Corey Flagg is who I was talking about.
flag. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Jalen Alderman a bit, where he's just a smart guy, not overly athletic, but you can depend on him if one of your main guys goes down, that there's not going to be a drop off in, where he needs to be position wise. He's going to know where to be, but just not the most athletic guy,
I
at least compared to a Wesley or a Popo. So yeah, I'm totally worried about that position group as well. I think Miami would benefit for sure by gaining another veteran linebacker in that room.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And what Heatherman has been doing, and I've been seeing it throughout at Green Tree, is he is rotating them at Mike Samuel. He's rotating them at different position of and just seeing kind of sort of what Coach D Nick was doing. But the defensive scheme is different this year. So just seeing those guys work. I haven't seen much out of Alderman. I just want to see more. I want to see
Yeah,
more. The D line is really getting to the ball. Last year we had some kind of questionable tackling about the linebackers. Kiko, that's my guy though. But I'm just saying, I just want to see more out of the linebacker. I think that's what I'm interested in seeing tomorrow in the spring game. Hopefully we see some of that. I'm hoping Shannon Dawson open up the playbook just enough so we can see a versatility of things. I'm hoping that I see communications, you know, I know it'll be like a scrimmage, a live scrimmage type thing, but even like simple things like subbing in and out. That was a problem last year. The communications, how the coaches and the players are communicating when it is something like that. I'm excited to see the young freshmen finally play a live, sort of what a live college scrimmage in front of their families and everyone, just seeing how they will play with that pressure. I'm just excited to see what the quarterback room is going to look like, what good or who, if Emery's playing, and then also too, if we just never know what we'll see with tomorrow. But all in all, I'm excited to see what all of what I've been seeing the last 4 weeks with the young groups, the transfers, the new staff coming in, Coach Cristobal, all of the above. I'm just ready to see it all kind of come together. Still new. Obviously, after the spring game, there's only 105 now. So,
Mhm.
there's going to be some people leaving. There's going to be some people coming. We shall see. But
Yeah.
tomorrow, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot, but we'll see something. And I'm excited for the Hurricane fans to see.
Yeah, I think the defense is going to dominate tomorrow. For those who are like fans of offense, don't expect a bunch of big plays from this offense. I don't think that it's going to be a bunch of big plays like you're going to see, long runs, long passes, and stuff like that. I expect this defense to dominate again, as they've been doing all spring, just with you're not seeing Carson Beck, the defense playing in a new scheme. I think this defense is really going to wreak havoc during the spring game tomorrow. I expect turnovers to happen. I'm going to predict at least 3 turnovers for this defense. Maybe 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery. I really think this defense is going to dominate, which is kind of
How would that make you feel?
ironic.
Feel good
I
about
mean,
that?
I'd
Especially.
feel I'd feel pretty good about that, just because I know the offense. The offense is kind of it's a chemistry
It's a
thing.
big question mark
It's
right
a
now.
big question mark, and it's a chemistry thing. And I think after you know like a bunch of reps over and over and over, I think they'll just get better, and the chemistry will grow when it comes to the offense. But the defense, I expect them to totally dominate tomorrow. I expect Bain to get a sack. I expect Hayden Lowe to get a sack. You know, so quickly before we get out of here, who do you think is going to be the MVP on both sides? And then who do you think is going to be the freshman that kind of makes both the most plays on both sides as well?
Wow. Okay. First off, I'm gonna say I'm excited to see Bane. Seeing him coming back from an injury. I see,
Hurricane Bain.
yeah, Hurricane Bane, Ruben Bane. Seeing him coming back from an injury, and then like after practice, every practice, just getting more reps in with JT, Jason Taylor. It's just he's very determined to get back to what we know of Hurricane Bane, and I have seen him coming back. So I'm hoping that tomorrow we can see some Hurricane Bane on the offensive side. I'm hoping that from a freshman standpoint, and I just kind of already know he's going to make plays. Malachi Tony, they call him Baby Jesus for a
Baby
reason.
Jesus.
He's definitely going to make some plays tomorrow, so I will be looking forward to see. And then Elijah Lofton, I just feel like every play he makes is just like, dang, like damn, like bro, he's huge, bro. He's like, but he's gonna kill it. So seeing Elijah Lofton, Malachi would definitely make some plays. Probably get a deep ball to Joshua Moore. He's really good at that, and making those type of plays. But Malachi Tony for sure. Ruby Bain will definitely get a sack. He's going to show out tomorrow, hopefully. And then we also get to see some of like some pass breakups, or maybe an interception we'll see from XL or something like that. But we shall see. I'm excited. I can't wait till tomorrow.
Yeah,
What about
yeah.
you?
Oh, for me, on offense, yeah, it's kind of easy just to kind of pick baby Jesus, because he does miracles out there on the football field. But I'm gonna say Josh Moore. Josh Moore is a guy as far as freshman is concerned. I think Josh Moore. I can see him, you know, head topping somebody, blurring somebody. I could see that happening if they get in the red zone. I could see that happening for sure. So I think he's going to be my freshman MVP.
I love Josh.
Overall, yeah, definitely. And then overall on offense, I'm gonna go with you said Elijah, so I think he's definitely gonna have a big game tomorrow. I feel like he's gonna be utilized a lot. I'll go with
You know
I would
who's
go with JoJo, man, because JoJo steadily gets separation. It's just if he could just get if one of these quarterbacks can get him the ball in space, I feel like he's gonna make a big play because he gets open. He steadily gets open on this practice field. So all he just needs is a little bit of space to make plays. He's got them sticky hands. I think he can make a play for the offense. On
JoJo?
defense, you
JoJo's
got
great.
you gotta go with Hayden Lowe, man. Hayden
Okay,
Lowe
he's been
is
big on your list this entire spring. So
yeah, definitely, man. From what I hear, he's very cerebral. That's a word that one of the coaches used to describe him. So he's not just big and strong and fast. He's also a smart guy already. So uses his hands very well and just loves football. He would eat a football for breakfast
do another
if he
game.
could.
I love that.
So I really expect him to have maybe even two sacks. Remember last season it was Marquise Lightfoot. I think this spring game is going to be Hayden Lowe as far as the freshman MVP on defense. Overall on defense, hmm, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be like a Zachariah Poyser,
Okay.
just because he seems like he can diagnose passes very well, and I feel like he's gonna get a few PBUs. I feel like he's going to maybe get an interception or cause some kind of disruption. I feel like he's going to diagnose plays, much like Mish Powell did last season during
Yeah.
the spring game. I felt like he last year Powell was just he knew where to be, and I think Poiser is going to be that
That
same.
experience tapped in for Powell. I feel like definitely for sure, and translated over for sure.
Yeah, so those are my guys, and we'll see. I'm excited too. I'm excited for the game
Did we
tomorrow.
say anything about the running backs? Because I've been seeing really great things out of Pringle, I must say.
Yeah, Pringle, I hear maybe dealing with an injury, so I'm not sure if we're going to see him.
He is hurt, right?
Yeah, he could be dealing with an injury. We'll see if we get to see number 22 tomorrow. But a player that I'm actually excited to see, not named Mark Fletcher or Jordan Lyle, because obviously those are my guys. You know those are my guys. um, is a Hellcat baby,
I
Chris Wheatley Humphrey. I think that there's been a lot of talk about him really showing up during the spring. I think there was a lot of questions about him even being a running back because he did play defensive back as well in his high school days. So maybe they were thinking, people were thinking that he could switch over, but I don't think that's the case at all. I think he's basically probably a better version of what Chris Johnson Jr. was last season. I think he can catch the ball out of the backfield really well. And from what I heard from someone, he's making people miss in a phone booth. So I'm excited to see what Chris Wheatley Humphrey, aka Hellcat, is going to do tomorrow during the spring game. So let's go, baby.
excited about that as well. It should be a great day. We're doing a post game review, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Instant reaction. Look out for that. Tomorrow in the afternoon, evening time. Well, evening time because it's a 4 p.m. start time. So maybe around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Look out for that. Me and C2, Casz Clayton. You
Oh,
know,
earlier. But yes, please make sure you guys look out for that. Right after the game, we will be doing an instant reaction. So,
yeah, absolutely. That's Cass Clayton once again, the queen of South Florida football, joining me here on the Storm Tracker podcast. Hopefully,
thank
I'll see you again.
Yeah, you will. You will. You guys will definitely see me. Make sure you guys follow me on all platforms at New Era C2. I do exclusive interviews, all that good stuff. Everything Benjamin does, a little bit more, a little different.
Yeah,
But
a little bit more. You got me on the social media content. Definitely check her out when it comes to social media content. It is A1. And I'm not just saying that because she's my girl. She definitely does her thing. So definitely follow her on all platforms.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're very
Appreciate
welcome.
you for having me on. I'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. That is going to wrap it up for the Storm Tracker podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the website, canescounty.com for free. Use the promo code Miami30 and also subscribe to this YouTube channel as well, live from Canes County. Until the next episode.